Sweet.
All righty, everybody.
Matt?
Things change.
Well, it's going. Good evening. Welcome to the Bedford Township Park Commission meeting for April 14th. I'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, before we approve the agenda, we do have one change to it. 9A, now we're going to shift everything down. 9A will be, Pat is here from the Planning Commission to discuss the CIP information. So, unless you don't want to do that. That's what I got from the email.
Yeah, I mean, I'd come prepared better. Yeah, I knew that's what you expected.
Oh, we didn't even know.
I can talk about it if you want.
Yeah, we'll just do a quick.
I don't have specifics.
So if we need to do anything, that works. It doesn't have to be anything major.
I just forwarded the email to him to let him know that you wanted to discuss it. So,
And then item, which will now be 9C, the Cars Grove Fence Pavilion Courts update. All that we do have bids for that front fencing that we'll go over the bids and decide on one. Other than that, are there any other changes to the agenda? Anybody else have anything to add?
Nothing to add.
I need an approval of the agenda.
I'll motion to approve the agenda as presented.
support.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes from the last meeting, March 24th. I wasn't in attendance at one, so I don't know if there need to be any changes. Anybody got anything? If it looks good, motion to approve them.
I'll motion to approve the minutes of the March 24th meeting.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes from March 24th are approved. Secretary's report. Treasurer's report. We do have that page.
Yeah. I
There
don't
it is.
have, I didn't get a copy of that, but yeah, so you'll see all some standard,
Cleaning service, if it's all.
standard utility bills. We actually finally did receive an invoice from Two Maids to Clean. This is probably the last invoice from them. Samaria Park, from the health department, there was a Eagle nitrate sample. There was that.
Water testing.
Engineering fees at Carr Park from Manikin Smith. Do the increase we did in the middle of March for dumpsters and porta johns, so that's why it's going to be a little higher
Yep.
for this, because they're billing the increase for March and all of April together. And then May, you should be able to see a flat rate like it's usually been.
Okay.
And then just some revenue from the South Tower and Point and Pay for the
The
rentals.
normal ones. I will motion to approve the agenda as is.
The treasurer's report, you mean?
Or treasurer's report, sorry.
Support.
All in favor, Aaron? Matt?
Yes.
Myself is aye, and Josh.
Aye.
The treasurer's report is approved. Presentations, I don't see any of our Parks partners or anybody available, and I didn't get anything from Nancy from ComEd. Comments from the public, limited to 2 minutes. Anybody? Let's move forward. So that moves it to 9A, the Planning Commission CIP discussion. If you want to open our eyes, or I don't know what's going on. We're playing catch up here, so.
Okay, Pat Mahoney, 1433 Winding Way, Temperance. The discussion we had at our last meeting wasn't very detailed. Bob Miller presented the CIP as it stands, as it has to be updated before budget.
Okay.
And you guys being in charge of one of the departments that oversees most of the large dollar assets, we're kind of concerned about if you've got plans to get money allocated to replacement for some of these projects, the pavilions, the play sets. And my personal concern was just not knowing what the finances are. Maybe you can explain it. You know, we're going to go to the expense of installing pickleball courts when I think we're behind the track of coming up with money on a yearly basis to pay for the replacement of these play sets. Those things are pretty expensive. And the way I see it, you've got a few options. One is don't replace the play sets. You know, try to pass a millage in the township, get a grant, get the board to allocate more money from the general fund toward the parks. Just would like to know what the plans are. And I'd highly encourage you maybe every quarter put this on your agenda and update the public where you're at with paying for these assets that are due to expire in the next couple of years.
Perfect. I wasn't even sure what you had or what we needed. So yeah, that's something we do need to, I would say for the next meeting, let's list it as an actual item discussion.
That's what we're talking about.
Capital improvement
So
plan.
did you get the updated capital improvement plan?
I have not seen anything since we became a board. The last I saw was probably a year plus back.
How long ago would you guess?
A year plus.
Wow. Okay.
As far as even as a previous,
when
even
is
as
the updated? When was the update?
And unfortunately, I was in the same boat. I wasn't copied on the updated version, and it was something we had to approve at the last meeting. But I would highly encourage for your next meeting, get your hands on that, and I'll get a copy of it too. And I just think it needs to be something addressed, and because it does seem like you're behind the planning for some of these projects. But you've got a new thing, pickleball courts. And I worry about things like the metro parks in Toledo. They keep expanding their territory, but they keep getting millages passed, right? And sooner or later, it's like the city of Toledo can't pay for it anymore, but they have all this land, and what are you going to do with it, So that's all I have to say.
Well, I appreciate the update.
So do you want me to come back when you...
Do we want to plan
You can
that as
reach
like?
back out to me if you need me, but it's just, please address it at your next meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll come up with stuff to actually line item it for the agenda. Get our numbers.
We went
from the
through.
updated.
Can I ask you just like 1.5 questions right now? We
Go.
went through a capital improvement plan within the last 60 days, didn't we? Didn't we sit here and we went through stuff? I recall doing that. Not too long ago.
That was our budget line item.
But the capital improvement plan was a big part of that, wasn't it? It was in
It's
there?
on there.
It is a part. Capital improvement plan is capital assets, and you've got.
And it was there, and I remember we went through everything.
Probably went through maintenance, which is a separate thing.
Prioritized what we thought.
So that is no longer relevant. That it has been changed since that time.
No, your budget still is important. It's just about planning for replacement of assets that depreciate. That's a separate thing.
So the capital
It's
improvement
part of
plan-
the budget, but you got to think of it as something separate.
Absolutely, yeah, no, I get that, and it's a more off in the distance budgeting thing. But has it changed since we
Not
did
that
it?
I'm
Since
aware
we
of.
went through it, like this updated one, when is the update from?
No idea.
Because we
This
don't.
is updated yearly, correct?
Yeah, and it was sent out back in January, and I was not copied on it.
Neither was
I don't think
So I haven't even
any of
seen
us
it.
were.
So we'll make sure that everybody gets it.
Right.
Okay.
All right?
No, I appreciate it.
Cool. No problem.
Thank you.
I do know that we can request a inspection of the equipment too, and they can give us ideas of whether or not it needs, what their time frame of replacement versus repair is as well.
And these are things we're
Level of
gonna have to
urgency.
move.
Pat's doing that.
Right. Yeah, go right ahead. Al, fill us in. I'm just going to say you have more information on this than what we have.
Okay, the capital improvement plan that was established last year. To clarify, the pickleball courts were in the budget for last year. Okay, so that, just like you have other things in a capital improvement plan that you guys have already talked about, they just keep getting funded every year. That's what needs to be clarified to this board, is how much Robert Miller is putting aside or what was actually voted on. So those are some of the things that are already in the works in terms to do. The playscapes have been looked at. We'll have Pat at the next meeting or whatever. He had a death in the family. So some of those playscapes still can last 3-4 years down the road until they can no longer make parts, okay? But you're right, is that they're very expensive. I mean, a playscape can cost you $500 to $700 and some $1,000 for a playscape. So it's not something you can
Right,
just...
we're talking the main ones, the white park, the car park.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Playscapes.
right, exactly. It's just like, to give you an idea, well, I'll inform you now, I went to the board because over at Car Park, we had the slide and it was a failure. We couldn't wait. I went to the board, notified them we had to order like $4,700 worth of parts. That'll keep that going for a while. But yeah, a lot of this is going to have to be replaced. But along with you coming, Pat, Bob Miller needs to be here as well, because the capital improvement plan just isn't the parks. We have a lot of other things that need to be improved as well in the township. So parks being one of it. And yes, it's all funded through the general fund. There is no millage. So we're not
Correct.
getting that money. So the pickleball courts, to inform people, those were discussed last year.
Part of last year's budget.
Went to the board, the whole 9 yards, so that's where they're at. Because if we don't do these pickleball courts, the other ones are going to have to get fixed, or something's going to have to be done there. The public's demanding it.
They've been band-aided for multiple.
Oh,
We've done
yeah, right,
replays
for
from each year.
quite a while. So we get calls all the time in terms of pickleball courts, and it's just something I don't think is going to go away from what I'm seeing in the popularity of it, because younger people are playing it, older people. Yeah, exactly. So I'll be back up later.
Perfect. That takes us moving on to what's now 9B is the cleaning service bid. We put our rental hall cleaning services out to public bid and left that open for the period. I don't believe we got a single bid on that.
We got
Want to
one.
lead the way on it and review. We just have to vote if we want to approve and move to them.
Yeah, I think part of the problem we getting only the one bid was it's a weird cleaning schedule. It's not
Right.
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 time frame. It's, hey, we need you on a Saturday after 9 o'clock at night before Sunday the next morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. So there's just not a lot of interest in it. I do know that I have at least 3 or 4 issues had to deal with our current cleaners, so I do think we should proceed.
Who'd we get the bid from?
Yeah, I was saying, do you have the information on it?
I'm trying. I didn't get the actual bid paperwork. How does that work?
Yeah, I did not receive. Because I don't know what their hourly, did we have it set in? I don't think we had a rate. That was the whole point is.
No, the bid was for $120 per cleaning.
Okay.
I do know
right
that.
at-
I talked to them over the phone, but I did not get the actual physical bid.
That's not bad at all, especially with where we're at and the service we're getting. So, pending reviewing that, I mean, I'm all for it. I had too many issues and too many missed cleanings, and the list goes on and on with our current clean. We need to get cleaners in there. I don't think it's something we can wait on.
And we did put very specific
Yeah.
scenarios in with
So
the
if
scope
they're-
of work.
If they're planning to meet all that and are ready to schedule and go, and we can backlog them on what's there, I'll motion to approve the new bid pending. It's like something's, if you review it and there's something really odd in it.
Is this something that we approve, or do we send it recommendation to the board for approval? So I guess our
Motioning to approve to send the recommendation of changing this cleaning service to the new cleaners. Instead
I
of
don't know what this is, though. We don't even know much about them.
I
Name or anything?
it is Amy Frost. It is my sister, actually. So I have to disclose that because it is
Okay.
part of the thing. I do know that she is very reliable and very good cleaner.
And if they're willing to meet that schedule of,
Is it like a company, or she just has her name, I guess?
She has her
Amy
own.
Frost LLC, or
Exactly.
that's the name? Amy, so
Yes.
you're motioning
to approve
Amy Frost LLC.
to send to the board for recommendation to change to them as cleaning service
Okay.
and not use Brenda's 2 maids to clean anymore. Anybody want a second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We are going to get that over to Township Board for approval. Continuing on with, or actually it moves down to C now, Cars Grove, the Pavilion Courts project update. I guess first let's take care of the front fence is a project looking to be completed. We have bids here from Backyard Renovations for a similar black aluminum fencing that's already in place to finish that off from edge to edge to meet the chain link fence. Labor and fencing included, that one is $5,725. There's another that I can't read or figure out what the name of the company is, but all it says is black aluminum fence, $4,700. Pretty vague. Southeastern Fencing LLC, same process, same black aluminum fence, 36-inch tall. Total contract amount was $8,432. Whoa. And then, what company is this one? Garib Fencing, GHAREB. I don't know if you were writing these. Black aluminum fencing, labor, everything includes $5,640. So you've got the two backyard and this one are pretty much identical, 5725, 5640. Then you have one way up there at 8432 and another well below with zero information. My recommendation in going through is to approve, because I've used this company in the past, I trust who's doing it and reliability, and I've seen their work in person, is Backyard Renovations. I will motion to approve or send this as a recommendation to Township Board to use Backyard Renovations for the fencing install at 5725 for the same black aluminum fencing. We did.
Al got all these, right? Or not Al, or Pat?
Pat and
Do
myself.
you have
kinda mixed
any
them.
input? He's just like, here.
No, here's
one?
the bids. Yeah, pick one. The only other thing we got, which we're not going to go, is Garib also provided a ornamental steel instead of doing the black aluminum, which would be a bid of $12,750. And it's not necessary to go to a steel fencing along that. I want to keep it like kind as what's already in place and try to match that up as best as possible if that exact product cannot be found.
I like the idea of using someone that you have personal experience with. And
It's a Bedford company.
Yeah.
I've used them at my residence. That's why I called them back and asked him to do this bid for us. He was more than willing to. That's who my recommendations for is Backyard Renovations. Like I said, I'm motioning to approve that as our recommendation to send to the Township Board. They'll get copies of all this, and if they really want to change their minds, I mean, it's up to them, but it's up to you if anybody wants to.
I second.
The motion.
I'll support.
Support. Aye for me.
Aye.
Aye.
And aye.
Aye.
We'll send Backyard Reno as the preferred choice for the fencing finish. Any other updates on pavilion or courts or
A little bit.
gets back up?
Both. We've been kind of both on the
Okay.
the email thread. Pavilion, we been in talks with the engineer, and he does think it is salvageable. The top part of the pavilion is in good condition, including the electrical minus a few small fixes.
Right.
The
main
said
thing
it-
it was before, years back when we looked at this, it was the posts.
Yes, that's basically what it is, and then he's going to look into what would be the best and give us some options as far as which direction to go with.
Okay.
As far as shoring up with concrete, and because it has shifted, it looks according to him.
That's all. Like I said, this is now 4.5 years back when Aaron and myself were on the board. We had this bid, and the project we were looking at doing was replacing the post itself and doing cast concrete, basically blocks for them
Yep.
to be up, elevated off the ground on. And we had a company approved, and then they completely backed out and failed, and it just never went anywhere. So if we're not doing a full-blown replacement and design like we had seen before, and we're looking at this route, that's probably what they're going to come up with.
Yeah, I know they to replace it completely was significantly more expensive. In my little research I did, just buying the materials, you're looking at 90 to 100,000 for something that same size.
Which we know isn't quite there.
And then the concrete, he thinks it potentially could be leveled, but it is. He's not sure about the substrate of why it's doing what it's doing. It could have been the water runoff onto it. It could be other factors. So it's something he has to dig into a little bit more. But
Okay, let us know when you've got anything back from him or in the email thread or anything of that nature. I know the pickleball courts are currently out at public bid, and we're just awaiting to get numbers back on that and bids back. So do you know what the final date is on that, Al?
Yeah, I think we had May 21st, something like that.
Okay.
Put it out a little bit longer.
Yep. Yeah, because it's a much more in-depth bid and work. So once we have that closed and bids in, we'll go from there with that.
Before we move on, the electric for that pavilion, is that electric up to code or not?
that's one of the things we have to talk to with Pat Mr. Kohler. He can come out and kind of give us an idea of the code status. The engineer believes the interior portion is, but maybe not where it's connecting to. So we might have some updates there.
He's pretty much going to come up with the list of what would need done. I know from bidding it 4 years back, we were right on that 20 grand threshold. I think it was like 18,000 something was the bid to do, and we didn't have any electrical work or anything in there. We did have gutters added because of that runoff right there.
It definitely needs gutters.
It's likely going to be over the 20 mark, and it's going to go out to public bid. So it's at that point we'll create here's the specs and what we're looking for, and that's what people will bid on.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, we could be close to double that at this point.
Put it out to public bid just like the courts.
Good. Okay. Just wanted to clarify it.
Yep. 9D, the fireworks discussion, just basically wanted to bring it up again because we keep getting closer and closer. The dates were confirmed. I'll reiterate it again. Let me just pull everything up. It is scheduled for Friday, June 27th with a rain date of the 28th. I did confirm with Dr. Schultz at the schools. The stadium will be clear, so we are going to utilize the same spot where the crew launches. In that back corner of the softball diamond, we can use the home side of the stadium and out, keeping their radius. Sonobi will be on the field. They'll fence it like before, but we will be at the community stadium with the fireworks on June 27th. Outside of that, it's basically on us now to, if we're going to be contacting food trucks or getting those involved that were in years past or whatever you want to do with it.
We did briefly mention that on last meeting. What do you guys think we should do with that? Should we? I already had one person contact me about doing a food truck. It was Chick-fil-A. I was
That'd be sweet. We've always had, and I'm sure they're, and again, we'll check with the Purple Penguins food truck, which is a local ice cream company. So years past, we had an ice cream, a kind of all-around food sandwiches, which was loaded gastro, and then we had your typical fare food like funnel cake style truck. We also had a lights company that came and sold all the little, the glow-in-the-dark stuff and that. We didn't ever really look. I think we had another ice cream company ask, but we really didn't want to create that realm of too much of this. We were trying to get more variety than just overloading it with getting 4 different ice cream companies and having them all compete and go from that place. More, I think, with the size of it and how it's been in years past and the lines I've seen at them, more trucks the merrier.
Yeah, because I know
I think not clashing and
Force U and Quimby's, they have a truck now too.
If Rich would be interested, that's where
one
this
thing
discussion
too
and
is that-
planning and opening it up. What do you guys want to see?
What is our process for people who want to do it?
Basically, we have I would have to look at, we can come up with a different price too, but I believe it was $200. We were doing a 1-day rental, or basically
I thought we were going to get the form. Nobody got the form, I guess, huh?
it should be on file downstairs. I don't have the form. No,
We
Chaz
talked
handled
last
that
time
before.
about
Yep.
getting it. Somebody was going to grab it. I don't know if we ever
wasn't
said
here
who was
last
going to
time.
grab it. Yeah, no, I know you weren't. One of the three of us.
I will
maybe.
contact the previous board member that handled all this and see if he still has
Well,
the info and can
doesn't
send it to
the
me, but
clerk's
it
office
should be on file
something?
from the previous ones. And if we want to change the amount of that, but they basically have to get it's a 1-day pass to allow vending on location. Like,
Right. Do we think 3B is going to do anything again? I'd just assume give them authority to run the whole thing and have a good time.
well, they run everything through White Park, and that's all they handle. And all their food and everything is their concession, and it's their fundraiser to raise money for, like the uniforms, the fields, those pieces.
And so the other location is Indian Creek then.
Well, no, we're at the high school stadium, the football stadium.
So why?
So we've always parked trucks at that strip between the junior high and high school.
Gosh, can we just ask BPS to handle it and give them our form and be like, here's a form we used. They'd probably make their own form and they can just have the money.
Why are we putting it onto the school to make them give
This is their property.
It's not their event, though.
It's our event.
I know, but why is it even our event? Like, it's really just the township's event rinsed through our board, and we sit here and talk about it, even though we don't really
The
have a
schools
budget.
still don't run it.
But do we really run it either? Ace Pyro runs it.
They supply
Ace
the
Pyro
fireworks.
runs it. The township pays for it out of the general fund, and it's a thing that happens to be on our agenda, even though, the only aspect of it that I can ascertain really involves us is the White Park component, because it's at White Park and people can see it, and that.
Which a lot of it's blocked too. And
I know, well, whatever, but bless
They get it.
let 3B have a good time and, put it on them to, authorize them to use our park.
we
for
pretty much
whatever they
pick
can.
dates and the company and.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why it's like, why just, I don't get the whole thing, honestly.
It's not the school's job to bring food trucks in.
I guess. I don't know if it's anybody's job. That's why, I mean, I don't know. Do we
Either
want
way, that's the process that's in place.
Yeah, I mean,
if you have
I guess-
ideas or want others, I know, like you said, you've had somebody contact you, that we should have that form at the clerk's office, or they should have a copy of it. We can make changes to it. I haven't seen it in 2 years because I didn't run it before.
We could probably put that on next meetings, and we'll try to get that form, and we can.
Do that, and then let's get a list of some prospective food trucks. I know of two off of hand. There was one I actually ended up stopping at up in Frenchtown not long ago. Sits at a gas station on Telegraph Road. Really good food truck. The prices are reasonable. He actually does give you a good, generous portion, especially the meat.
I will.
It's a barbecue truck,
I
but
will
really
say
good.
too, from years past planning, there don't go to any like Ohio ones. Most of the Ohio food trucks don't have the Michigan licensing, and I guess it's a hurdle to get through to have all the proper health code licensing and all of that stuff with Michigan. So unless they're already cleared in Michigan and have the Michigan license, I wouldn't bother them because they're going to ignore you. That was a problem the first year we were ever trying to do food trucks, is why we were so limited in that. Because any of the big names you always see down at any Toledo festivals, or anything, they don't bother coming to Michigan. The licensing is difficult. So Hunt, Michigan.
Yeah, that was the Michigan one. Yep.
Outside of that, going into Parks Update, Anstead, I have not heard anything, any voicemails or any info needed for Anstead. I don't have any update. Samaria?
Not a whole lot going on there. I know we need to get the fields cleaned up because I've been hearing it again today. I've heard from Troy Lusky, who heads up the Bedford Slut team. He said in 2 weeks they're supposed to start having home games at Parma Lee, so those fields need to get scraped and done. And that, I don't know where we at with that, Al. He's off right now? Okay.
He's off right now, and a lot of go through the baseball contract, a lot of the teams being on that is it's on them to clean their fields up, and that's part of giving them first rights is for them to handle cleanup of them.
Okay.
'Cause I also had one of them, I don't believe it was Troy, it might have been, contact me regarding getting more safe slide in, and I said, well, this was done by the team at Samaria 2 years ago. It's kind of on the teams to bring their field up to par of what they want. The only thing really discussed beyond that was getting permanent bases installed, and if we can look at that in the long run. And that was the same discussion for Indian Creek and softball, and obviously we don't manage Indian Creek anymore, but field, the part of them having the rights and the dibs to these public parks and having the first option is to
them to do that.
them to input maintenance to it and upkeep and gaining traction to it, where our maintenance isn't going out of the, we're not doing any expenditures on field upgrades at this time, if you want to let them know that. Like,
That's fine, I'll let them know. And it's
unless it's a safety problem or something where it's regarding that, hey, the fence broke here, we can get the fence, like,
That's one thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing, but general raking and all that, that's why 3B has White Park, because they do their continuous dragging of the fields and upkeep of them, and they line them, they stripe them. That's on the team to complete.
That rents the field, basically, yeah. So, and he
And
said it's in the
that's
contract,
the benefit of
correct?
them, yes, and that's the benefit of them
I'll send it to
being
him.
on a contract to have first rights to a public park field.
That's fine, I'll send that to him then. I'll email it to him tonight.
That's kind of their part to it.
One thing
Anything else,
too.
Samaria?
Yeah, I think it was last week. No, it might have been the week before. We had a lot of rain. That parking lot was flooded up to the pavilion and out to the outfield, Walls field. So, like, where are we at as far as getting the drainage fixed, or is that going to be a different project down the road?
Project of fully regrading the field and everything out, and if we're going to replace that pavilion or redo it, or
The parking lot too. It all floods out, like a huge area. I mean, it's a drainage issue, to be honest.
Yeah, that was an unusual large amount of rain we had, too.
Right.
So you can't stop all
April,
flooding.
last year it rained 23 straight days in April, and we had flooding issues. We first had the basketball courts built and nothing was graded yet. It flooded the first rain, and we had people upset and complaining. And then it got regraded, the tiling was put in, and it was finished. And I've been over there multiple times in the rain to check that, and those courts don't flood. So,
Where it's at.
White Park, when we
Okay.
first did the basketball, it's spring, it's flooding. Have we discussed regrading fields and getting bids? I haven't seen anything.
Called Frog Town. We live in a swamp. This is the nature of our geography.
It's April. It's
Good. I don't know.
There's rain.
There's limited funds that, grading things that are flooding is not in our wheelhouse right now, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Right, we don't have the money for it.
Especially
so
our
we know
least
where we're at.
visited facility. That's.
I mean, if you want to contact some companies, especially while it's flooded, and have somebody come out and look and get a number so we know what we're looking at.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the first thing. I have not been over there to see it flooded up at some areas, so that would be step one, really.
Okay.
White Park, I don't have any updates. I know we got for all the parks, we're to the summer, like we saw in the billing, all the porta johns are out, the dumpsters are on regular pickup. With the games and all that, if they're having issues with like the dumpster or anything of that nature, let us know. We did kind of jumble around and where the portos were located at White Park, because none were good for the field, but they had a ton up by the front where 3B has the bathrooms as is, so we moved some around and everything, but everything's in order and operating, and 3B's full go right now. It's a very busy time of the year for them. Parmalee?
Everything looks good. What was that?
I'll update on Parmalee. I'm meeting with Mitch, the Black Swamp Discs, on Thursday, if you want to meet me out there at 4:30.
Thursday, 4:30.
If you can make it. If not, it's just to simply pick where the course sign is going in or where we want it placed, because he's got that all together to where you'll get it on order and in and get it installed and bring us the final invoice for that for the materials and such. So we can get a check.
The
disc golf course sign.
dumpster was fixed. That was the other thing I noticed.
Okay.
At Parmalee?
It had been bent back and it's been repaired. Like it wasn't locking because of a bend in the metal, but it's good now.
Good.
It's
Awesome.
secured, so.
Took them a while.
And it could have been done in the last 2 weeks. I mean, we haven't had a meeting in 3 weeks, honestly.
Right.
So I mean, I'm sure, but it's good. That's secure now.
Yeah, once.
Okay,
like I said, Thursday 4:30 is when I meet. If you want to stop out there and have some input on where, obviously we're going to put it closer to the start of the disc golf course and everything. We're just kind of picking a final spot that's going to work most conveniently for maintenance. That I know Pat's off. I don't think it's. I mean, we're putting 2 4x4 posts in and the sign, so shouldn't be too big of a concern on maintenance is on. Cars Grove, I know we covered
a
lot of it. Is there anything else for Car?
They did spread some stone. It's looking
Saw that.
much better now. That looks really good, actually.
The south lot, and they did behind the main lot.
Yep.
I saw that.
I did, in seeing that, I was wondering, though, if maybe not this year because we don't have the pickleball courts yet, but once we get those, parking's definitely going to be a little more chaotic over there, I think. So having maybe some of those cement
Parking blocks.
yes, parking blocks, so you kind of so you know where a spot is, and
I mean, we got the full barriers from at Stevens Construction. What were those, like 50 a pop?
Oh, those are great. Yeah, $25.
25 a pop. I'm sure they have the smaller parking ones.
do they have
for much
any less ugly ones?
right? No, they would be the
paint
smaller.
them. I've always said we could
You're
paint
talking
them.
the smaller ones, like
Yeah.
you could probably
You
get
can
those.
get
for
like black
5 or
rubber
10
ones,
a
can't
pop.
you?
You can. Those are not cheap.
Oh, those are not cheap.
I've thought though that if that is a concern, that maybe where buying that church property comes into play. The church has, offered to sell.
You can't pave back on it though. That's the whole issue. Is it's in the flood plain and it's against the track.
Oh, so they're not
Yeah, it's on
including
the
those
back
back
side.
parking spaces, and
It's just the backside where they used to have, I think, a daycare playground, and it's that little strip.
we couldn't add parking there.
No.
Then never mind.
As far as car goes, one thing we'll add is like when these pickleball courts come in, you have to think of between the pickleball, you have the playground, the baseball field, and then the hall that gets rented. How much of a zoo parking's going to be around there? And one thing I want to make sure of is the people that rent the hall should be able to have the right to reserve that parking next to the hall for what they rent because they're paying for it. Whether it's a baby shower or a graduation. They shouldn't have to park far away just because everybody's taking those spots, you know what I mean? And the other thing, too, is I know the church has had issues in the past with parking. It's like I don't want to take advantage of the church's property. With all the pickleball lined up there, are we doing something with the church to help them out? Because the amount of use that we're putting on their parking lot. You know, if you know what I mean. Just being good neighbors, not just abusing and taking from the church and not, you know.
The good thing about pickleball is it's not going to create a huge influx of people. You can only play so many people at a court.
Right.
It'll definitely be increased, though. So time will tell.
In terms of baseball, those are Black Ops. Is it Black Ops out there, or I forget which team is on card.
It's Black Ops.
Black Ops. They only utilize, I think, Tuesday, Thursday out there.
That's it. And that's just practices.
And all their games are at a different. I think they hosted one weekend of games last year there, but they just use it for practices.
Okay.
It's not.
That's one thing.
I mean, you're talking. If it's a nice Saturday, yeah, it's going to be busy over there. But look at White Park when 3B hosts a tournament.
It's packed.
There's nowhere to add parking. So
I mean, time will tell. Really,
time will tell.
Hopefully, we'll have some better
If
answers.
the courts were nice there that are currently in place, it would be busier. The
Right.
courts need replaced. They're unusable.
Is there parking along the street on Lewis in downtown?
There's that too.
So you park along the street and
Right.
you walk on the sidewalk to the park. Not by the park? What do you mean? But there's a sidewalk. I mean, you could
Further down towards the gas station, there's parking on both sides.
and the sidewalk gets to the park.
Yeah, that's how it gets to the park.
So you
Yeah,
park parking in front of the side of the gas station and walk a half mile to the park, or quarter mile, or I don't know, wherever. I don't know. I mean, however far the gas station is, not a half mile, and quarter mile maybe, but okay. There is street parking. It is downtown Temperance. There is theoretically at least
See
that
more foot
option.
traffic and more business in
Right.
Temperance.
Yeah. So okay, great.
Wheeler Preserve, I don't have
One more thing.
car.
Just one more thing.
That point.
Is this when you want to talk about September 6th?
Oh yeah, didn't you have something?
September 6th.
You wanted to rent for the bike thing. Did you want to talk about that now for under a car park?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever you got, bring it to the table.
Chuck it. We have what we call a Cornerstone 100 bike ride that comes through Bedford Township. We're going on our third year, but it came through before that underneath a different club. So what we'd like to do, it's a nonprofit. They raise money, they give away some bikes and so on, plus it promotes economic development, getting people through Bedford. We'd like to rent that pavilion September 6th, and we'd like to know if we could possibly get a reduction in the rental.
You're not doing the hall, just the pavilion?
No, we want to do the hall.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Yeah, we'd like to do the hall.
Gotcha. If it's
And we'll clean up after ourselves and stuff, so there won't be any. You won't have to incur any costs there.
September 6th,
I don't think there.
if
Last
it's-
time I checked,
if
it
it's
was
open?
open.
I know through the system, the only way to do it is book it all, and then we can do the refund to it.
Okay.
Closed. I'll motion to approve that for a nonprofit. We've done that with plenty of nonprofits in the past. I don't.
Or do we want to put on next 2 weeks agenda?
Do it now before it
Good
gets
to know.
booked.
Do it now
Yeah.
before it gets booked and the date's not even available.
Okay, fair enough.
Like I said, I'm motioning to approve this for the hall and the pavilion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So what you have to do is book it, and then
Aye.
we'll get the.
Yes.
I can sign the thing to get it the money reimbursed to you.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it. Thank you. Do you want me to go with some other stuff?
What else you got?
Here, let me.
Oh, there it is.
Thank you.
120 per cleaning. You were right. Submitted references, and they're in Village Meadows, which is around the corner from the hall, which is perfect. Yeah, everything looks like it's meeting the bid, so.
I didn't know if there's anything more specific. I knew that part of it.
How many copies are there? Just one copy, or?
For it.
Okay.
That's what we're going to send to the hall, or to Township for. That's our recommendation to move to, instead of using.
Are we in comments from the public now? We're going to call this maybe?
As I say, Wheeler Preserve, I don't have any updates.
nothing
That's it
for
for
Wheeler.
car, so comments from the public? Or did you have any?
Yeah, I have a couple
Yeah.
things to add to the parks, if I could there.
Okay.
Have at it. Yep, let's
Okay.
wrap up the park.
In regards to car park, I did speak with the engineer, and to be on the safe side, since we need to make sure that structure stays up, I've asked them to give us a quote of what a plan actually would be on a structural
Time
side.
for the pavilion.
Yeah, to give us what the cure is for that. He's supposed to get back to me what that planned cost would be, so that when you do go to bid it out, you actually have good specs to say, here's what we need to do. So that is happening in terms of that. Also, too, I did have one contractor take a look at both gazebos, one in Carr Park and the other one in Samaria. He really thought they both should probably come down instead of trying to save those. So that's just something for you guys to definitely consider down the road. So other than that, we're doing our spring cleanups, that kind of stuff, you know, our normal maintenance that we do every single spring. So, you know, also too, with the parking over at Carr, you might want to take a look with that space that's a little closer to the other building, way in the back. That might be something to consider too. So, but that's what I have. So we're working on Carr, trying to get that. The pickleball courts, I got it out right now that I personally emailed companies, like 10 different companies right now. There'll probably be some more too. So,
Okay.
and then one last thing, I don't know, Pat and I are getting together with the plumbing inspector and Dennis Kohler again, because we received no bids on installing those water fountains. And we're running into that problem of tapping into the sewer line. They didn't do that years back. They just had a French drain and that was it. I don't know how many people, I mean,
Right.
going into French drain, who did that really affect? Nobody, but.
Got to bring it up to code.
Yeah,
Here's
bring
where
it
we're
up to
at.
code, so that's where we're at. So we're trying to take a look.
Come on
at it.
eBay.
Yep, so I'll let you know how that goes.
Thank you, Al.
Question, any update on the DNR grant we applied for?
I have not heard anything back. No. It's usually, what was the deadline, was what, beginning of April 1st?
It's April 1st.
We might hear something by May.
I do know they accept about 14 a year out of the entire state of Michigan.
Wow.
So it might be something we just need to start early, and if we don't get it this time, get it next time.
Right. Okay. Wheeler?
I don't have anything for Wheeler, which is through the parks. Comments from the public? Open in 2 minutes.
Gail Kane Temperance. Samaria has always been wet in the back. The reason I'm here is because I had a couple issues. I recently headed out of town and went past Carsgrove Park and noted that the shelter had, not shelter, but the building was used. The parking was double. You couldn't get in or out of that parking lot, which is a danger. Question is, was it over the quota that's allowed by the fire chief for the number of people inside? Not my job to stop and count. Could have called the fire chief, I suppose, and had it checked, or the police. I'm not sure. The other thing is that they were overflow parking into St. Paul's parking lot. You know, you guys have had your own level of disrespect. That church parking lot is not yours. And I did stop and speak with someone. The phone numbers are not out on the webpage, so I couldn't call, and I was on the street. I stopped at Mr. Al's house, and he wasn't home. So I went across the street. I know I wasn't received very well because, and it's true, they were home, but that's what the park board used to be like. You could always get a hold of somebody. They would always respond to your concerns. So the problem is what I'm told. So what, the church doesn't have any services? That's not the answer. Not at all. It's not acceptable. It should not be tolerated by this township. That church came to this township and asked for help paving their blacktop and was treated very poorly and disrespectfully. So then, not too long ago, there was a ball game. I've got photos. I left my phone. I don't live by phone. 4 rows of cars in that church parking lot. Not 1 row, not 6, 4 rows of cars. Again, not acceptable. These are your guests, not the church's. And the church should not have to bear, which they are doing, the liability for anything that happens on their lot from your people. open the double gate, have the ball team park in the back by the pole barn, whatever it is that you have to do.
2-minute scale.
Okay, well, I'm just saying there is some concerns. You had the pickleball courts, and I was at planning. And the problem is that you have immediate needs that need to be addressed, and spending $10,000 on pickleball courts. So what, if that's what they're mandating, tell them to belly up and give you the money.
Any other comments from the public? Okay. Commissioners' comments, Aaron?
Nothing.
Matt?
Nothing for me.
Josh?
It's Holy Week, so happy Easter to everybody, and just understand the reason of the time of this season of this week.
Myself, same. Happy Easter this coming Sunday, and everybody stay safe as spring hopefully hits full swing.
Yeah.
Our next meeting is April 28th, 2 weeks. Any kind of things we need on the agenda, please let me know, guys. Otherwise, we'll see you guys then. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Okay.